Hey, my handsome ladies and gentlemen, this is Shmeaty. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you are new. Now, a little under a year ago, I was able to catch a Pokemon that I really didn't know what to do with. I knew it could be best buddied and get up to nearly the Great League CP of 1500, but I didn't really want to invest all that time and resources into doing it, but now its time has come. My level 50 Shadow Hundo Dwebble will now face the Open Love Cup. I guess it's not an open format. Nevertheless, we're going to be taking a look today at Shadow Dwebble, as well as another Pokemon that I feel like is getting slept on in the Love Cup, and that is the Hisuian Electrode. Hisuian Electrode, rapid fast pacing of course, and we're going to lead into an Alomomola in the first game, and they're going to safe switch into a Chansey. This is absolutely disgusting stuff. By the way, in a couple of these first games, my Dwebble has the wrong moveset, I believe. There's always something wrong with me, man, honestly. I'm going to fire off a Rock Tomb at the Chansey. Chansey is going to be actually kind of chipping us with these Zen Headbutts and Dazzling Gleams. But fortunately, we are able to slow them down quite a bit with the Rock Tomb debuffs. We're going to be able to send another Rock Tomb here in a moment. Probably should have sent this sooner, but it looks like we're actually going for the back-to-back Rock Blasts. Now, Rock Blast, you honestly want to run X-Scissor and Rock Blast because Rock Blast is a pretty poor move overall, but we're going to be able to build up to another Rock Tomb here, and Rock Tomb is going to get the Chansey very low, but now they're going to be able to fire off a move at us, but Zen Headbutt charges energy so slowly that I can take advantage of this. They are -2 in their attack. Hisuian Electrode very glassy. We're going to get a full farm down of the Chansey. Massive Thundershock farm down leading with the back-to-back wild charges, and this opponent is going to send in their Scrafty. Scrafty's going to have a hard time here because Wild Charge connects massive damage onto the Scrafty. They're going to switch into their Alomomola when I show my own Scrafty, and they're going to top left. GG's. And into the next game, Hisuian Electrode into Druddigon. This is a pretty terrible lead. We are going to switch out immediately into our Dwebble. Shadow Hundo Dwebble looking to make a X-Scissor onto the Druddigon. Druddigon taking a lot of damage from these smackdowns. Night Slash connects, does a lot of damage. They're going to bring in their Alomomola. And fortunately, things have actually gone in a favorable direction for us. We baited out the Alomomola, and now we're going to be able to put it on our Hisuian Electrode. Hisuian Electrode here, since we were able to land that X-Scissor on this Alomomola, check this out. They're going to fire off a move. Very early on, I was shielding this move, but I don't really have to shield that move. I'm going to fire off this Swift. And I threw 2 Thundershocks in because I was very rapidly approaching 100 energy. But speaking of 100 energy, a Swift into a Thundershock farm down lets us leave with 100 energy. Back in comes the Druddigon. Druddigon is going to be tasked with dealing with multiple wild charges here. Going to shield up the first, and now we're going to pivot back out into our Scrafty. They're going to fire off a move here. Of course, it's going to be the Dragon Claws. The Night Slash would be double resisted. Dragon Claw does a sizable chunk to our Scrafty, but I think we're just going to commit to the farm down, and we are able to get it just in time in the back. It's going to be a Miltank. Unfortunately, we do not have Power Up Punch on this Scrafty, but that's okay for us. We're going to be able to fire off these foul plays, and Hisuian Electrode has a move locked and loaded. We don't really need the Scrafty anymore, regardless of how good the type matchup is here. We're just going to bring in the Electrode and build up to the back-to-back Wild Charges. Wild Charge number 1 will get rid of the shield from the Miltank, and Wild Charge number 2 is going to be enough to KO the Miltank. GG's to this trainer. Alright, we've got a Electrode into Krookodile. Now this is a very big core breaker for our team. Unfortunately, we only have one true answer, and that's going to be our Scrafty. We're going to bring in our Dwebble. Krookodile is going to build up a bunch of energy, then switch into the Alomomola. And I guess the only thing this Dwebble was good for was getting people's Alomomolas out onto the screen. So that way we can now bring in the Electrode, go for another Swift farm down play. And that's probably our best play here. We're going to build up 2-4. This is going to be another Psychic most likely. I'm going to no-shield this time. And even with the debuff, if they were able to get the defense debuff there, we're in a good spot because we could easily no-shield and they're not going to waterfall us down there. We're going to fire off the Swift, looking for that Thundershock farm down, easily able to get it because Alomomola has abysmal pacing. Going to bring back in the Krookodile. Krookodile is going to fire off what's likely going to be either a Crunch or a Brick Break. It's going to be the Brick Break, and now we're going to fire off a Swift at the Krookodile. And hopefully they think this is an energy ball, but they do not. We're gonna swiftly switch into our Scrafty, I should say, and we are having a terrible day as they're going to be meeting us with their Galarian Slowbro. And I think this is the game where I was just like, yo, that's a good Pokemon. Yo, Poggers, Galarian Slowbro, I like that idea. So you're going to see, we're just going to let this go, because unfortunately, there's not really a whole lot our Scrafty's going to be able to do here. We try to tap the Thunder Punch, I believe, but G-Bro's going to win CMP. We're going to shield up the Surf, fire off the Thunder Punch, but realistically, the opponent has 2 shields. Why would they ever no shield here? We're going to bring in the Hisuian Electrode here. If I threw 1 here, I might have been in a better spot, but realistically, their G-Bro's just too healthy. They have the move, unfortunately. Yeah, yep. If we threw 1 and watched for the switch, we would have been in an okay spot there. But yeah, that's gonna be a GG. Getting into the next game, it's gonna be Hisuian Electrode into Hisuian Electrode, and we both safe switch at the same time into the same Pokemon. There's no shot he has a Shadow Hundo Dwebble in the back, right? Nevertheless, they're gonna fire off a Brutal Swing at our Slowbro, and now the CMP tie is revealed. Unfortunately, I am not going to be the winner of this CMP tie, so I'm going to fire off my Brutal Swing, and realistically, I think we just let ourselves get KO'd by the next Brutal Swing, because of course they're going to tap it immediately, knowing that they win CMP. That's okay for us. Here, I believe the best course of action is bringing in the Dwebble and going for a farm down so that we can leave threatening an X-Scissor onto the Hisuian Electrode if that's what they want to bring in. I wouldn't imagine that's what they want to bring into a Shadow Dwebble, but who knows? Oh, they do bring back in the Electrode. Electrode, with the Grass subtyping, is going to take a massive amount of damage from the X-Scissor. And here, I was second guessing myself. I forgot they switched immediately as well, but that was only 4. That could have only been a Swift. They bring in a Skeledirge. Skeledirge, oh my goodness, Skelly is getting farmed to pieces. We're going to switch into the Electrode here. They're going to fire off a move. But we've just won this game because that is 1 Smackdown range, and fortunately we deferred the Incinerate, the final Incinerate that was going to KO our Dwebble onto this Electrode. So now Dwebble comes back in for the farm down. GG's. Getting into the next game, it's going to be Hisuian Electrode leading into Medicham. A little bit of an awkward lead, but a little less so if they are on the fast move counter, because we can outpace as opposed to match pace for the initial Ice Punch. And if they tap Ice Punch and we tap Wild Charge at the same time, we are going to be in trouble there. They're going to save switch into the, well, I'm going to save switch into my G-Bro, and they're going to counter switch with their Licky Licky. Every Licky Licky has a coverage move that can easily handle a G-Bro, so we're going to be in a little bit of trouble here. They're going to fire off a move, and I'm going to put up a shield. I want to see if I can ideally flip switch here, because realistically, I don't think I want that Medicham on my Dwebble. Dwebble, you may think from the looks of it that it's bulky, but it has a stat product of like 1700, which it's not very good. I believe that's even more frail than a Feraligatr, for instance. Nevertheless, they're going to bring back in the Medicham. We're opting for Scald on our G-Bro because I don't have any Elite Charge TMs, and this was built after the Calm Day. Listen, I'm an honest man. Nevertheless, Dwebble is going to find its target once again. It's a Skeledirge in the back, and even if they connect with this Shadow Ball, they're going to fire off the Disarming Voice. This is not going to be enough to KO, and now we're going to be able to fire off a Rock Blast, forcing a shield from the Skeledirge, or they will get KO'd. And now we're in a pretty decent spot here because we can either bring in either of these 2 Pokemon and just look to commit to a move. We're going to fire off 4 and the Swift. And this Skeledirge does not have enough energy in the tank to deal with our remaining 2 Pokemon. The Swift just doesn't KO, but 1 further Thundershock will. GG's. Getting into the next game, and we are in trouble. Yet another Druddigon lead. We're going to immediately safe switch into our G-Bro. And you're going to see I'm going to throw 5 Poison Jabs and the Brutal Swing immediately. This actually preserves good timing. This is 11 turns as opposed to the Druddigon's 12 to throw 4 Dragon Tails. So that's why you're going to see us throw there. We're going to shield up the first Night Slash because it would do a lot of damage and put us in farm down range, but they get the boost. Oh my goodness, we are in absolute trouble here. We're going to fire off another Brutal Swing, grabbing both shields from the Druddigon. And now, I think the only play I have is hoping they're core broken by the Hisuian Electrode in the back and just sacking the Dwebble fully. Hopefully this game is going to play out that way. It does a massive amount of damage with the Dragon Claw. We're going to bring in our Hisuian Electrode and fire off a Wild Charge before the incoming Sea King. The triple Legacy Sea King is going to be able to make a move. Wild Charge with the one shot on the Sea King. They're going to bring in a Miltank in the back, and this is a problem. Unfortunately, I'm already remembering having flashbacks of how poorly I played this game. They're going to fire off a Body Slam, and now we're going to fire off the back-to-back Wild Charges here. We have the back-to-back. Unfortunately here, if I just click the back-to-back Wild Charges, I would be so much more okay. But I think my switch timer comes up. Try to get stylish with a catch, and unfortunately we're going to get destroyed by a Body Slam there. Dwebble is not healthy enough to withstand the fast move pressure here. We're able to make a last second X-Scissor here, and I think the Dredagon is in one fast move range. What a draw. In the next game, it's going to be Hisuian Electrode into a Medicham. We're going to actually immediately pivot out, try to play this out a little differently than last time, and now we could easily just fire off the Brutal Swing on 5, but realistically that's not damage that's really going to add up as much. We're going to no shield because Psychic would do a sizable amount of damage, but I just don't believe they're going to be on Psychic. I don't see a real need for it unless you're out of charge CMs like me. I'm always out of charge CMs. We're going to fire off a Skull, does a lot of damage onto the Medi, and they're going to counter switch with their Miltank, but switch is massively misaligned here. We're going to be able to fire off a Skull onto this Miltank, and now our switch is coming up. We might be able to bring in the Hisuian Electrode, or instead we're going to fire off this Brutal Swing. Brutal Swing would not be enough to KO, I believe, but now we're going to switch into the Dwebble, and Dwebble is going to catch what could have only been a Body Slam because we were so low there. Body Slam is not going to pick up the KO, but now this is not going to be a Body Slam. This is a Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt, massive damage onto the very glassy Shadow Dwebble. Dwebble is not having a good day today so far. We're going to fire off an X-Scissor onto the triple Legacy Sea King that comes in, and now X-Scissor is going to grab a shield from the Sea King. That's actually kind of something that we needed to happen, and we're going to be able to make another X-Scissor. The threat of the X-Scissor actually is going to force this Sea King to fire off an Icy Wind at us, and now I don't know what that was. This game needs to be fixed. Please fix this game. It's so bad. It's so bad. Anyway, Icy Wind is going to KO the Slowbro. In comes our Hisuian Electrode. They're going to bring in their Medicham, but at this point we can just go straight Swift. With the Thundershock buff, I'm very comfortable with just firing off these Swifts here, and Swift is actually going to likely pick up a KO from the range that the Medicham's at. Medicham, of course, formerly top meta in the Open Great League, but has, of course, fallen from grace dramatically since then. But one of the best things about it when it was great was its massive. We've reached the final game of the video once again, and it's going to be a tricky lead. It's going to be Lurantis. Lurantis, very interesting Pokemon. I actually really like this Pokemon's design. It was actually the first Pokemon I tried to build a team in the Love Cup around, and I quickly got blasted and played Ultra League for an entire week. Nevertheless, my molding aside, the opposing trainer is going to build up a bunch of energy on their Lurantis and then switch into their Licky. Banking all that energy is a little bit scary. We did get a debuff here, so I'm comfortable with no shielding this move. It's actually going to be the Shadow Ball. Looks like we're looking to preserve switch advantage, because if we could get that Lurantis on our Dwebble, it might actually be a little bit better for us. Firing off the Brutal Swing, the Licky shields. They are debuffed, and now if they send another Shadow Ball, we can just fully Poison Jab them down. They're not going to let that happen. They're going to instead bring in a Wugtrio. Wugtrio, one of the very few Mud Slappers in this cup, and this is such a memey Pokemon. Why does it look like this? Why does this exist? I have so many questions. Nevertheless, Wugtrio made it to a dig, is going to KO our Hisuian Electrode, and now we're just going to be tasked with bringing in the Dwebble, taking a few Mud Slaps. Unfortunately, we are not weak to Mud Slap because of our bug subtyping. They're going to bring in a Lurantis. Not a Lurantis, the same Lurantis from earlier. It's not a different one. It's going to be a Leaf Blade. Leaf Blade does a lot of damage. They catch. Oh my goodness, what a catch by the opposing trainer. Catching our X's or onto their Licky. But unfortunately for them, we've got the move loaded on the G-Bro, and Brutal Swing will seal this game. GG's. If you made it to this point in the video, thank you so much for watching. It really means a lot to me. And I'm sure you're all wondering the question, is Shadow Hundo Dwebble or Hundo Dwebble at all worth building in the Great League for limited cups or maybe even some open Great League play? And my answer is going to be absolutely not. Please refrain from ever making such a silly investment. I spent 660,000 Stardust on this terrible Pokemon, so you guys don't have to. Its stat product, bad. Its moveset, bad. Smackdown got nerfed. Everything about it is bad, and it seems like the only thing it was able to do was occasionally spot a fire type and be like, oh shoot, let me bring it in, yeah, this is my chance. That's pretty much all it can do. What have we learned from this video? That the Hisuian Electrode and Galarian Slowbro core actually pops off quite a bit if you can align them properly and get yourself a nice energy advantage. With all that being said though, I've been Shmeaty. Thanks again so much for watching. I really hope to see you guys again next time, and have a good rest of your day. Bye.